Introduction: the shocking truth about self-discipline. What if I told you that the key to your success is not talent, luck, or connections, but something entirely within your control? What if the secret to achieving your dreams, building the life you've always wanted, and unlocking your full potential lies in a single, powerful trait: self-discipline? It's not glamorous, it's not flashy, and it's certainly not easy, but it is the one thing that separates those who thrive from those who merely survive. Think about it. How many times have you set a goal only to watch it slip away because you couldn't stay consistent? How many opportunities have you missed because procrastination got the better of you? How many dreams have you left unfulfilled because you lacked the discipline to see them through? The truth is, without self-discipline, even the most talented among us are destined to fall short. But here's the good news. Self-discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you can cultivate, something you can master, and something that can transform every area of your life. Let me ask you this. What would your life look like if you could wake up every morning with unwavering focus, tackle your goals with relentless determination, and stay committed to your vision no matter what obstacles came your way? Imagine the freedom of knowing that you have the power to control your actions, your habits, and ultimately, your destiny. This is the transformative power of self-discipline. It's not just about willpower. It's about creating a life of purpose, intention, and fulfillment. The Bible reminds us in Proverbs 25:28, "A man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls." Without self-discipline, we are vulnerable to every distraction, every temptation, and every excuse that comes our way. But with it, we become unstoppable. Now, I know what you're thinking. Easier said than done. And you're right. Self-discipline is hard. It requires sacrifice, effort, and a willingness to push through discomfort. But here's the thing: the pain of discipline is temporary, while the pain of regret lasts a lifetime. Think about the people you admire most. The ones who have achieved greatness in their fields, the ones who seem to have it all together. What do they have in common? It's not luck, and it's not talent. It's self-discipline. They've mastered the art of doing what needs to be done, even when they don't feel like doing it. And the best part, you can do the same. By the end of this, you'll uncover the 10 secrets of self-discipline that will change your life forever. These are not just theories or abstract ideas. They are practical, actionable steps that you can start implementing today. Whether you want to improve your health, advance your career, strengthen your relationships, or simply become the best version of yourself, these secrets will guide you every step of the way. But here's the catch: this is not a quick fix. It's a journey, and it starts with a decision. A decision to take control of your life, to stop making excuses, and to start taking action. Are you ready to make that decision? Are you ready to unlock the power of self-discipline and start your path to success today? If so, let's dive in. The life you've always dreamed of is waiting for you. And it all begins with the choices you make right now. The biblical foundation of self-discipline. What if I told you that the greatest battles you'll ever fight won't be against external enemies, but against yourself? What if the walls you need to build aren't made of stone or brick, but of self-discipline? The Bible, in its timeless wisdom, paints a vivid picture of this truth in Proverbs 25:28. Like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. Imagine a city without walls, utterly defenseless, vulnerable to every attack, every storm, every thief. That's what life without self-discipline looks like. It's chaos, it's defeat, It's a life lived at the mercy of your impulses, your distractions, and your excuses. But here's the good news. Self-discipline is not just a modern self-help buzzword. It's a divine principle, a spiritual tool, and a pathway to greatness that has been modeled for us throughout history. Let's take a moment to look at Daniel, a man who exemplified self-discipline in the face of overwhelming temptation. Taken from his homeland, thrust into a foreign culture, and surrounded by luxury and indulgence, Daniel could have easily given in to the pressures around him. But he didn't. He chose to honor God by maintaining his discipline, refusing the king's rich food and wine, committing to prayer even when it meant facing the lion's den. Daniel's story isn't just about courage. It's about the power of self-discipline to protect, to guide, and to elevate. His life shows us that self-discipline isn't about deprivation. It's about devotion. It's about saying no to the things that distract us so we can say yes to the things that define us. Now, let's bring this home. How often do you feel like your life is a city without walls? How often do you find yourself overwhelmed by distractions, procrastination, or the temptation to take the easy way out? The truth is, we've all been there. We've all felt the sting of regret when we realize we've let ourselves down. But here's the thing: self-discipline isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about building those walls, brick by brick, day by day, until you've created a fortress of focus, determination, and resilience. And the best part, you don't have to do it alone. The same God who gave Daniel the strength to stand firm is ready to empower you too. So, what does it take to build these walls of self-discipline? Let's break it down into 3 foundational principles rooted in biblical wisdom. First, self-discipline starts with a clear vision. Proverbs 29:18 tells us, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." Without a clear sense of purpose, we drift. We get distracted. We lose sight of what truly matters. But when we anchor our discipline in a vision that aligns with God's will, we find the motivation to keep going, even when it's hard. Second, self-discipline requires accountability. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 reminds us that 2 are better than 1, for if they fall, 1 will lift up his companion. We weren't meant to do life alone. Surround yourself with people who will encourage you, challenge you, and hold you accountable. And third, self-discipline thrives on consistency. Galatians 6:79 encourages us, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart." It's not about grand gestures or overnight success. It's about showing up, day after day, and doing the work. Now, let me ask you this: what's one area of your life where you feel the walls are broken down? Is it your health, your finances, your relationships, your spiritual growth? Whatever it is, know this: you have the power to rebuild. You have the power to take control. And you have the power to create a life that reflects the discipline and devotion of Daniel, the wisdom of Proverbs, and the promises of God. The journey won't be easy, but it will be worth it, because on the other side of self-discipline is a life of freedom, fulfillment, and faith. So, what are you waiting for? The tools are in your hands. The blueprint is in the Word, and the time is now. Start building those walls. Start taking those small, consistent steps, and watch as your life transforms from a city in ruins to a fortress of strength and purpose. The choice is yours. Will you let the walls stay broken? Or will you rise up, take control, and build a life that honors God and inspires others? The call to self-discipline is not just a call to success, it's a call to greatness. And it starts today. Secret 1T. Define your why. What if I told you that the secret to self-discipline isn't found in willpower alone, but in the depth of your why? What if I told you that the reason you keep falling short of your goals isn't because you lack strength, but because you haven't yet defined the burning purpose that will fuel your perseverance? Let me ask you this: why do you want to achieve this goal? What's at stake if you don't? These aren't just casual questions. They're the foundation of everything you're about to build. Without a clear why, self-discipline is like a ship without a rudder, drifting aimlessly in a sea of distractions. But with a strong why, you become unstoppable. You become like Nehemiah, who rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem, not because it was easy, but because he knew the stakes were too high to fail. Let's dive into Nehemiah's story for a moment. Picture this: Jerusalem lies in ruins. Its walls broken down, its gates burned with fire. The people are vulnerable, exposed to enemies on every side. Nehemiah hears the news, and his heart breaks. But he doesn't just sit in despair. He takes action. He prays, he fasts. He risks his life to approach the king and ask for permission to rebuild the walls. And when he finally arrives in Jerusalem, he faces opposition at every turn. His enemies mock him, threaten him, and even plot to kill him. But Nehemiah doesn't back down. Why? Because his why was crystal clear. He wasn't just rebuilding walls, he was restoring the dignity, safety, and future of his people. He was fulfilling a divine calling. And that purpose gave him the strength to persevere, no matter the cost. Now, let's bring this back to you. What's your Jerusalem? What's the broken wall in your life that needs rebuilding? Is it your health, your career, your relationships, your faith? Whatever it is, you need to define your why. You need to dig deep and ask yourself, why does this matter to me? What's at stake if I don't take action? Is it the health of your family? The legacy you want to leave? The calling God has placed on your life? Your why is the fire that will keep you going when the obstacles seem insurmountable. It's the anchor that will hold you steady when the storms of life threaten to knock you off course. Let me give you another example from the Bible. Think about Joseph. Sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused, and thrown into prison, Joseph had every reason to give up. But he didn't. Why? Because he had a why. He knew God had a plan for his life. He knew his suffering wasn't in vain. And that purpose carried him through years of hardship until he finally rose to a position of power and saved countless lives during a famine. Joseph's story reminds us that a strong why doesn't just help us endure, it helps us thrive. So, how do you find your why? Start by asking yourself these questions. What do I value most in life? What am I willing to fight for? What would I regret not doing if I had only 1 year left to live? Write down your answers. Pray over them. Let them sink into your heart until they become the driving force behind every decision you make. Because here's the truth: when your why is strong enough, the how becomes possible. When your purpose is clear, the distractions lose their power. When your vision is aligned with God's will, you find the strength to keep going, even when it's hard. But let's be honest, defining your why isn't always easy. It requires honesty. It requires vulnerability. It requires you to confront the fears and doubts that have held you back for far too long. But here's the good news: you don't have to do it alone. God is with you every step of the way. He's the one who placed that purpose in your heart. He's the one who will give you the strength to pursue it. And He's the one who will turn your obedience into a testimony that inspires others. So, what's holding you back? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it the voice in your head that says, "You're not good enough"? Let me tell you something. That voice is a liar. You are more than enough. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You have a purpose that no one else can fulfill, and the world is waiting for you to step into it. Now is the time to define your why. Now is the time to take that first step. Start small. Start today. Write down your goals. Write down your reasons. And then, like Nehemiah, commit to the work. Commit to the process. Commit to the vision God has given you. Because when you do, you'll discover something incredible. Self-discipline isn't just about saying no to distractions. It's about saying yes to the life you were created to live. It's about building walls that protect your purpose. It's about becoming the person God called you to be. So, what are you waiting for? The tools are in your hands. The blueprint is in the Word, and the time is now. Define your why. Build your walls. And watch as your life transforms from a city in ruins to a fortress of strength, purpose, and faith. The choice is yours. Will you let the walls stay broken, or will you rise up, take control, and build a life that honors God and inspires others? The call to self-discipline is not just a call to success. It's a call to greatness. And it starts today. Secret 20 starts small. Think big. What if I told you that the biggest dreams you have for your life can be achieved not by some grand, overnight miracle, but by the small, consistent steps you take every single day? What if I told you that the secret to building a life of purpose and discipline isn't found in massive leaps, but in the tiny, seemingly insignificant choices you make moment by moment? Let me ask you this: how can you expect to run a marathon if you can't even jog a mile? How can you expect to write a book if you can't commit to writing one paragraph a day? The truth is, self-discipline isn't about perfection. It's about progress, and progress starts small. Let's take a moment to look at the parable of the talents in Matthew 25:4-30. A master entrusts his servants with different amounts of money: 5 talents, 2 talents, and 1 talent. The servants with 5 and 2 talents invest what they've been given, doubling their master's wealth. But the servant with 1 talent buries it in the ground, afraid to take even the smallest risk. When the master returns, he praises the first 2 servants for their faithfulness in small things, but he rebukes the third for his lack of initiative. The lesson here is clear: God doesn't expect us to start with everything. He expects us to start with what we have and be faithful in the small things. Because it's in the small things that greatness is born. Think about it. The servant with 5 talents didn't start with 5. He started with 1. The servant with 2 talents didn't start with 2. He started with 1. The difference wasn't in the amount they were given. It was in their willingness to take that first step, no matter how small. And that's where you come in. What's the 1 talent God has placed in your hands? What's the small step you can take today to move closer to your goal? Maybe it's reading 1 chapter of the Bible every morning. Maybe it's saving 10 a week. Maybe it's spending 15 minutes a day in prayer. Whatever it is, start there, because small steps, taken consistently, lead to big results. Let me give you another example. Imagine you're standing at the base of a mountain. The peak seems impossibly far away, and the climb looks daunting. But what if I told you that the only way to reach the top is to take 1 step at a time? What if I told you that every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal? That's the power of incremental progress. It's not about how fast you go or how far you leap. It's about keeping your eyes on the goal and moving forward, 1 step at a time. Now, let's bring this back to your life. What's the mountain you're facing? What's the goal that feels out of reach? Maybe it's losing 50 pounds. Maybe it's paying off 10,000 in debt. Maybe it's rebuilding a broken relationship. Whatever it is, break it down into manageable steps. Instead of focusing on the 50 pounds, focus on losing 1 pound at a time. Instead of stressing over the 10,000, focus on saving 100 at a time. Instead of trying to fix the entire relationship, focus on having one honest conversation. Because here's the truth. Small wins lead to big victories, and every small win builds momentum, confidence, and discipline. But let's be real, starting small isn't always easy. It requires humility. It requires patience. It requires you to silence the voice in your head that says, "This isn't enough." Because here's the thing, it is enough. Every small step is enough. Every small effort is enough. Because every small step is a step in the right direction. And every small effort is an act of obedience to the calling God has placed on your life. So, how do you stay motivated when the progress feels slow? Celebrate the small wins. Did you read your Bible today? Celebrate that. Did you save a 10 this week? Celebrate that. Did you spend 15 minutes in prayer? Celebrate that. Because every small win is a reminder that you're moving forward. Every small win is a reminder that you're building something bigger than yourself. And every small win is a reminder that God is faithful to complete the work He started in you. Let me leave you with this. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The journey of self-discipline begins with a single choice. The journey of faith begins with a single act of obedience. So, what's your single step? What's your single choice? What's your single act of obedience? Start there. Start small. And trust that God will multiply your efforts in ways you can't even imagine. Because when you're faithful in the small things, He will entrust you with greater things. And when you take that first step, no matter how small, you're already closer to your goal than you were yesterday. So, what are you waiting for? The mountain is waiting. The goal is waiting. The life you were created to live is waiting. Take the first step. Start small. Think big, and watch as God turns your small, consistent efforts into a legacy of faith, discipline, and purpose. The choice is yours. Will you bury your talent in the ground, or will you take that first step and see what God can do? The call to self-discipline is not just a call to start. It's a call to finish, and it starts today. Secret 30 Build habits, not just willpower. What if I told you that willpower is overrated? What if I told you that relying on sheer willpower to achieve your goals is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom? No matter how much you pour in, it'll never be enough. Let me ask you this: how many times have you started a new diet, a new exercise routine, or a new spiritual practice, only to give up after a few days or weeks? How many times have you told yourself, "I just need more willpower," only to find yourself right back where you started? The truth is, willpower is a finite resource. It's like a muscle. It gets tired, it wears out, and it can only take you so far. But what if there was a better way? What if you could build habits that automate self-discipline, so you don't have to rely on willpower at all? Let's turn to the Bible for a moment. In 1 Corinthians 9:27, the Apostle Paul writes, "But I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified." Do you see what Paul is saying here? He's not relying on willpower to keep himself in check. He's not saying, "I'll just try harder next time." No. He's talking about discipline, about building habits that keep his body and his life under control. And that's the key. Habits are the secret to lasting self-discipline. They take the pressure off your willpower and put it on autopilot, so you can focus on what really matters. Think about it. When you first learned to drive, you had to think about every little thing: checking the mirrors, adjusting the seat, putting on your seatbelt, starting the engine, shifting gears, pressing the gas, steering the wheel. It was overwhelming. But now, you don't even think about it. You just do it. That's the power of habit. It takes something that once required all your focus and turns it into second nature. And that's exactly what you need to do with self-discipline. You need to turn it into a habit, something you do without even thinking about it. So, how do you build habits that stick? Let me give you 3 practical steps. First, start small. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. Pick one habit, just one, and focus on that. Maybe it's reading your Bible for 5 minutes every morning. Maybe it's drinking a glass of water as soon as you wake up. Maybe it's writing down 3 things you're grateful for before you go to bed. Whatever it is, make it small, make it simple, and make it something you can do every single day. Second, create a routine. Habits thrive on consistency. They need a time, a place, and a trigger to help them stick. For example, if you want to start reading your Bible every morning, set a specific time, say 700 a.m., and a specific place, say your kitchen table. Then, create a trigger, something that reminds you to do it. Maybe it's your alarm clock. Maybe it's your coffee brewing. Maybe it's the sound of your kids waking up. Whatever it is, use it as a cue to start your habit. Over time, that trigger will become so ingrained in your routine that you won't even have to think about it. Third, track your progress. There's something powerful about seeing your progress in black and white. It gives you a sense of accomplishment and motivates you to keep going. So, get a calendar, a journal, or an app, and mark off every day you complete your habit. And don't just track the days you succeed. Track the days you fail, too. Because here's the thing, failure is part of the process. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. So, when you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start again. Let me give you an example. Imagine you want to start exercising every morning. You set your alarm for 6:30 a.m. You lay out your workout clothes the night before, and you decide to start with just 10 minutes of stretching. The first few days are easy. You're motivated, you're excited, and you're ready to go. But then, on day 4, you hit the snooze button. You're tired, you're groggy, and you just don't feel like it. What do? Do you give up and go back to sleep? Or do you remind yourself that this is just one day, and tomorrow is a new opportunity to start again? If you choose the second option, you're building resilience. You're teaching yourself that failure isn't the end. It's just a bump in the road. Now, let's bring this back to your spiritual life. What's one habit you can build to deepen your relationship with God? Maybe it's praying for 5 minutes every morning. Maybe it's memorizing one Bible verse every week. Maybe it's serving in your church once a month. Whatever it is, start small, create a routine, and track your progress. And remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you get back up. Let me leave you with this. Habits are the building blocks of self-discipline. They take the pressure off your willpower and put it on autopilot, so you can focus on what really matters. So, what's one habit you can start building today? What's one small step you can take to move closer to your goal? Whatever it is, start there. Start small, and trust that God will multiply your efforts in ways you can't even imagine. Because when you're faithful in the small things, He will entrust you with greater things. And when you take that first step, no matter how small, you're already closer to your goal than you were yesterday. So, what are you waiting for? The mountain is waiting. The goal is waiting. The life you were created to live is waiting. Take the first step, build the habit, and watch as God turns your small, consistent efforts into a legacy of faith, discipline, and purpose. The choice is yours. Will you bury your talent in the ground, or will you take that first step and see what God can do? The call to self-discipline is not just a call to start. It's a call to finish, and it starts today. Secret forcing embrace discomfort. What if I told you that your comfort zone is a trap? What if I told you that the very thing you cling to for security is the very thing holding you back from the life you were meant to live? Let me ask you this. When was the last time you did something that scared you? When was the last time you stepped into the unknown, embraced discomfort, and trusted God to meet you there? If you can't remember, it's time to wake up. Because here's the hard truth. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It happens in the wilderness, in the places where you feel vulnerable, exposed, and unsure. And if you want to live a life of purpose, you have to be willing to step into that wilderness. Let's look at the story of Jesus in Matthew 4:1-11. After his baptism, Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. For 40 days and 40 nights, he fasted. He was hungry. He was tired. He was alone. And yet, it was in this place of discomfort that Jesus faced his greatest test and emerged victorious. Why? Because he embraced the discomfort. He didn't run from it. He didn't try to avoid it. He leaned into it, trusted his Father, and came out stronger on the other side. And if Jesus, the Son of God, was willing to embrace discomfort for a greater purpose, what's stopping you? Let me ask you this: what are you willing to sacrifice for the life you truly desire? Are you willing to give up your comfort, your convenience, your control? Because here's the thing: the life you want is on the other side of discomfort. It's on the other side of fear. It's on the other side of the wilderness. And if you're not willing to step into that place, you'll never experience the fullness of what God has for you. Think about it. When you stay in your comfort zone, you're playing it safe. You're avoiding risk. You're avoiding failure. But you're also avoiding growth. You're avoiding transformation. You're avoiding the life you were created to live. And that's not just a waste of your potential. It's a betrayal of your purpose. Because God didn't call you to play it safe. He called you to step out in faith, to embrace discomfort, and to trust Him to lead you through the wilderness. So, how do you do it? How do you embrace discomfort and step into the life you were meant to live? Let me give you 3 steps. First, identify your comfort zone. What are the things you cling to for security? What are the habits, routines, and patterns that keep you stuck? Maybe it's your job. Maybe it's your relationships. Maybe it's your daily routine. Whatever it is, name it. Because you can't step out of your comfort zone until you know where it is. Second, take small steps. You don't have to leap out of your comfort zone all at once. Start with small, manageable steps. Maybe it's having a difficult conversation with someone you've been avoiding. Maybe it's trying something new that scares you. Maybe it's saying yes to an opportunity that feels out of your league. Whatever it is, take the first step. And remember, it's not about being fearless. It's about being faithful. It's about trusting God to meet you in the discomfort and lead you through it. Third, lean into the discomfort. When you step out of your comfort zone, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel vulnerable. You're going to feel exposed, and that's okay. Because discomfort is a sign that you're growing. It's a sign that you're stretching. It's a sign that you're stepping into the life you were meant to live. So, don't run from the discomfort. Lean into it. Embrace it. And trust that God is using it to shape you into the person He created you to be. Let me give you an example. Imagine you've been feeling called to serve in your church, but you're afraid to step up. You're worried you're not qualified. You're worried you'll fail. You're worried you'll embarrass yourself. But deep down, you know this is what God is calling you to do. So, what do? Do you stay in your comfort zone and ignore the call? Or do you take a step of faith, embrace the discomfort, and trust God to meet you there? If you choose the second option, you're not just stepping out of your comfort zone. You're stepping into your purpose. Now, let's bring this back to your spiritual life. What's one area where you've been playing it safe? What's one area where you've been clinging to comfort instead of stepping into the life God has for you? Maybe it's your prayer life. Maybe it's your relationships. Maybe it's your career. Whatever it is, take a step of faith. Embrace the discomfort. And trust that God will meet you there. Because when you step out of your comfort zone, you're not just growing. You're glorifying God. You're showing the world that your faith is bigger than your fear. And you're stepping into the life you were created to live. Let me leave you with this. The life you want is on the other side of discomfort. It's on the other side of fear. It's on the other side of the wilderness. And if you're not willing to step into that place, you'll never experience the fullness of what God has for you. So, what are you waiting for? The wilderness is waiting. The life you were created to live is waiting. Take the first step. Embrace the discomfort. And watch as God turns your small, faithful steps into a legacy of faith, courage, and purpose. The choice is yours. Will you stay in your comfort zone? Or will you step into the life you were meant to live? The call to embrace discomfort is not just a call to start. It's a call to finish. And it starts today. Secret 50V. Surround yourself with accountability. What if I told you that your greatest strength lies not in your independence, but in your willingness to depend on others? What if I told you that the key to self-discipline isn't just about willpower, but about who you surround yourself with? Let me ask you this: who holds you accountable when your motivation wanes? Who stands beside you when the road gets tough? If you can't answer that question, it's time to rethink your strategy. Because here's the truth. Self-discipline is not a solo act. It's a team effort. And if you want to succeed, you need to surround yourself with accountability. Let's look at Ecclesiastes 4:9-1 true. It says, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up, but pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken." This passage isn't just about companionship. It's about partnership. It's about the power of accountability. It's about the strength that comes from walking alongside others who share your goals, your values, and your commitment to growth. Think about it. When you're trying to build self-discipline, you're going to face challenges. You're going to face setbacks. You're going to face moments when you want to give up. And in those moments, who will be there to remind you of your why? Who will be there to encourage you, challenge you, and push you to keep going? If you don't have someone in your corner, the odds are stacked against you. But if you surround yourself with accountability, you're not just increasing your chances of success, you're multiplying them. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're trying to get in shape. You set a goal to work out 5 days a week. At first, you're motivated. You're excited. You're ready to crush it. But after a few weeks, the novelty wears off. You're tired. You're busy. You're tempted to skip a workout. What do? If you're doing it alone, it's easy to give in to the temptation. But if you have a workout partner, someone who's counting on you to show up, it's a different story. Suddenly, it's not just about you. It's about the commitment you made to someone else. And that accountability can be the difference between giving up and pushing through. Now, let's bring this back to your spiritual life. What's one area where you've been struggling to stay disciplined? Maybe it's your prayer life. Maybe it's your Bible study. Maybe it's your commitment to serving others. Whatever it is, who's holding you accountable? Who's checking in on you, encouraging you, and challenging you to stay on track? If you don't have someone in your corner, it's time to find them. Because accountability isn't just a nice-to-have. It's a must-have if you want to grow in self-discipline. Let me give you 3 ways to surround yourself with accountability. First, find a mentor. A mentor is someone who's been where you want to go. They've faced the challenges, overcome the obstacles, and come out stronger on the other side. And they can guide you, encourage you, and hold you accountable as you pursue your goals. Whether it's a pastor, a coach, or a trusted friend, find someone who can speak wisdom into your life and help you stay on track. Second, join a group. There's power in community. When you surround yourself with like-minded people who share your goals and values, you create a support system that can help you stay disciplined. Whether it's a small group at church, a Bible study, or a mastermind group, find a community where you can grow, learn, and be held accountable. And remember, it's not just about showing up. It's about being vulnerable, sharing your struggles, and allowing others to speak into your life. Third, share your goals with trusted friends. Accountability starts with transparency. When you share your goals with others, you're inviting them to hold you accountable. You're giving them permission to ask the hard questions, challenge you when you're off track, and celebrate with you when you succeed. So, don't keep your goals to yourself. Share them with trusted friends who will support you, encourage you, and hold you accountable. Let me ask you this: who's holding you accountable? Who's walking beside you, encouraging you, and challenging you to stay disciplined? If you don't have someone in your corner, it's time to find them. Because self-discipline isn't just about willpower. It's about partnership. It's about the strength that comes from walking alongside others who share your commitment to growth. Let me leave you with this. The road to self-discipline is not a solo journey. It's a team effort. And if you want to succeed, you need to surround yourself with accountability. So, find a mentor, join a group, share your goals with trusted friends, and watch as the power of accountability transforms your life. Because when you surround yourself with people who believe in you, challenge you, and hold you accountable, there's no limit to what you can achieve. The choice is yours. Will you go it alone, or will you surround yourself with accountability? The call to self-discipline is not just a call to start, it's a call to finish, and it starts today. Secret 6. Learn to say no. What if I told you that the most powerful word in your vocabulary is not yes, but no? What if I told you that your ability to say no is the key to unlocking your greatest potential? Let me ask you this. How many times have you said yes to something you didn't want to do, only to regret it later? How many times have you allowed distractions, temptations, or other people's expectations to pull you away from what truly matters? If you're like most people, the answer is too many. But here's the truth: learning to say no is not just a skill, it's a superpower. And if you want to master self-discipline, you need to master the art of saying no. Let's look at Jesus' example in Luke 4:113. After fasting for 40 days in the wilderness, Jesus was physically weak and spiritually tested. Satan came to him with 3 temptations: to turn stones into bread, to gain power and authority, and to test God's protection. Each time, Jesus said no. He didn't just say no. He said no with conviction, with clarity, and with purpose. Why? Because he knew that saying no to the wrong things would allow him to say yes to the right things. He knew that his mission was too important to be derailed by distractions or temptations. And he knew that his no was not a rejection. It was a redirection. It was a way of saying yes to his Father's will, yes to his purpose, and yes to the life he was called to live. Now, let's bring this back to you. What are the distractions in your life? What are the temptations that pull you away from your goals, your values, and your purpose? Maybe it's the endless scroll on social media. Maybe it's the pressure to say yes to every request at work. Maybe it's the fear of missing out that keeps you from focusing on what truly matters. Whatever it is, here's the question you need to ask yourself. What are you saying yes to when you say no to distractions? What are you saying yes to when you say no to temptations? Because every time you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. And if you want to live a life of self-discipline, you need to make sure that your yes is aligned with your priorities, your values, and your purpose. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're working on a big project. You've set aside time to focus, but then your phone buzzes. It's a text from a friend inviting you to hang out. What do? If you say yes, you're saying no to your project. You're saying no to your commitment. You're saying no to your goals. But if you say no, you're saying yes to your project. You're saying yes to your commitment. You're saying yes to your goals. The choice is yours. But remember, every time you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. And if you want to live a life of self-discipline, you need to make sure that your yes is aligned with what truly matters. Now, let's talk about boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They're bridges. They're not about shutting people out. They're about letting the right things in. And if you want to master self-discipline, you need to master the art of setting boundaries. Let me give you 3 ways to do that. First, know your priorities. If you don't know what's important to you, it's easy to say yes to everything. But if you know your priorities, it's easier to say no to the things that don't align with them. So, take some time to reflect on your values, your goals, and your purpose. What are the things that matter most to you? What are the things that you're willing to say yes to, no matter what? And what are the things that you're willing to say no to, no matter what? When you know your priorities, you can set boundaries that protect them. Second, practice saying no. Saying no is not easy, especially if you're a people pleaser. But here's the thing. Saying no is not selfish. It's self-respect. It's not rejection. It's redirection. And if you want to live a life of self-discipline, you need to practice saying no. Start small. Say no to the things that don't matter. Say no to the things that drain your energy. Say no to the things that pull you away from your priorities. And as you practice, you'll get better at it. You'll get more confident. And you'll start to see the power of saying no. Third, surround yourself with accountability. We've already talked about the importance of accountability, but it's worth repeating. When you surround yourself with people who share your goals, your values, and your commitment to growth, they can help you stay disciplined. They can remind you of your priorities. They can encourage you to say no to distractions and temptations. And they can celebrate with you when you say yes to what truly matters. So, find a mentor, join a group, or share your goals with trusted friends, and let them hold you accountable as you learn to say no. Let me ask you this. What are you saying yes to when you say no to distractions? What are you saying yes to when you say no to temptations? Because every time you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. And if you want to live a life of self-discipline, you need to make sure that your yes is aligned with your priorities, your values, and your purpose. Let me leave you with this. The power of self-discipline lies in your ability to say no. It lies in your ability to set boundaries, to protect your priorities, and to stay focused on what truly matters. So, learn to say no. Practice saying no, and surround yourself with accountability as you do. Because when you say no to the wrong things, you're saying yes to the right things. And when you say yes to the right things, there's no limit to what you can achieve. The choice is yours. Will you say yes to distractions, or will you say yes to your purpose? The call to self-discipline is not just a call to start. It's a call to finish, and it starts today. Secret 7A: focus on progress, not perfection. What if I told you that perfection is a myth, a trap that keeps you stuck in a cycle of frustration and self-doubt? What if I told you that the key to self-discipline isn't about being flawless, but about making progress, no matter how small? Let me ask you this. When was the last time you celebrated a small win? When was the last time you acknowledged how far you've come instead of focusing on how far you still have to go? If you're like most people, the answer is probably never. But here's the truth: self-discipline isn't about perfection. It's about progress. And if you want to unlock your full potential, you need to shift your focus from perfection to progress. Let's look at the Apostle Paul's words in Philippians 3:12-14. He writes, "Not that I have already obtained all this, or have already arrived at my goal, but I press on to take hold of that for which Christ Jesus took hold of me." Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. Did you catch that? Paul, one of the most influential figures in the early church, didn't claim to have it all together. He didn't say, "I've arrived." Instead, he said, "I press on." He focused on progress, not perfection. He understood that self-discipline is a journey, not a destination. And if Paul, with all his wisdom and experience, could admit that he hadn't arrived, why do we hold ourselves to an impossible standard of perfection? Let me ask you this. Are you measuring your progress or just your failures? Are you celebrating the small steps forward? Or are you beating yourself up for not being perfect? Because here's the thing: every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Every time you choose to press on, no matter how hard it feels, you're making progress. And if you want to live a life of self-discipline, you need to shift your mindset from perfection to progress. You need to embrace the journey, not just the destination. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're training for a marathon. You don't start by running 26.2 miles on day 1. You start with a mile, then 2, then 5. And with each run, you get stronger, faster, and more confident. But what if, instead of celebrating those small wins, you focused on how far you still had to go? What if you beat yourself up for not being able to run the full marathon on day one? How motivated would you feel? Probably not very. But when you focus on progress, when you celebrate each step forward, you build momentum. You build confidence, and you keep moving forward, one step at a time. Now, let's bring this back to your life. What's your marathon? What's the goal you're working toward? Maybe it's building a healthier lifestyle. Maybe it's growing in your faith. Maybe it's advancing in your career. Whatever it is, here's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you focusing on progress or perfection? Are you celebrating the small wins, or are you letting the fear of not being perfect hold you back? Because here's the truth: progress, not perfection, is the key to self-discipline. And if you want to stay motivated, you need to focus on how far you've come, not just how far you have to go. Let me give you 3 ways to shift your focus from perfection to progress. First, set realistic goals. If your goals are too big, too vague, or too unrealistic, you're setting yourself up for failure. But if your goals are specific, measurable, and achievable, you're setting yourself up for success. So, take some time to reflect on your goals. Are they realistic? Are they achievable? And are they broken down into smaller, manageable steps? When you set realistic goals, you create opportunities for progress. And when you make progress, you build momentum. Second, track your progress. One of the best ways to stay motivated is to see how far you've come. So, keep a journal, use an app, or create a visual tracker to record your progress. Write down the small wins, the lessons learned, and the challenges overcome. And when you feel discouraged, look back at how far you've come. Remind yourself of the progress you've made, and let that progress fuel your motivation to keep going. Third, celebrate your wins. Too often, we downplay our achievements because they don't feel big enough. But here's the thing: every win, no matter how small, is worth celebrating. So, take time to acknowledge your progress. Reward yourself for the effort you've put in, and let those small wins remind you that you're moving forward, one step at a time. Let me ask you this: what's one small win you can celebrate today? What's one step forward you've taken, no matter how small? Because here's the truth: progress, not perfection, is the key to self-discipline. And if you want to stay motivated, you need to focus on how far you've come, not just how far you have to go. Let me leave you with this: the journey of self-discipline is not about being perfect. It's about making progress. It's about pressing on, even when it's hard. It's about celebrating the small wins, even when they feel insignificant. And it's about trusting that every step forward, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. So, shift your focus from perfection to progress. Set realistic goals, track your progress, and celebrate your wins. And as you do, you'll find the motivation to keep going, the confidence to keep growing, and the discipline to keep pressing on. The call to self-discipline is not just a call to start, it's a call to finish. And it starts today. Secret 8. Cultivate gratitude and contentment. What if I told you that the secret to self-discipline isn't found in sheer willpower or relentless effort, but in something as simple as gratitude? What if I told you that the key to staying motivated, focused, and disciplined lies in cultivating a heart of thankfulness? Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? But here's the kicker: gratitude isn't just a feel-good emotion. It's a powerful tool that can transform your mindset, your habits, and your life. And if you want to unlock the full potential of self-discipline, you need to start with gratitude. Let's dive into 1 Thessalonians 5:18, where the Apostle Paul writes, "Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." Did you catch that? In all circumstances. Not just when things are going well. Not just when you've achieved your goals, but in all circumstances. Why? Because gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's already been given. It redirects your attention from the mountain ahead to the ground beneath your feet. And when you're focused on what you have, rather than what you don't, you're more likely to stay motivated, disciplined, and committed to your goals. Think about it. How often do you find yourself stuck in a cycle of dissatisfaction? You set a goal, work hard, and then immediately focus on the next thing without pausing to acknowledge how far you've come. You're so focused on the finish line that you forget to celebrate the milestones along the way. But here's the truth. Gratitude is the antidote to this cycle. It's the reminder that progress, no matter how small, is worth celebrating. It's the fuel that keeps you going when the journey gets tough. And it's the foundation of true self-discipline. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you paused to give thanks for the progress you've made? When was the last time you acknowledged the small wins, the lessons learned, and the obstacles overcome? If you're like most people, the answer is probably never. But here's the challenge: start today. Take a moment to reflect on how far you've come. Maybe you've made healthier choices this week. Maybe you've spent more time in prayer or meditation. Maybe you've taken a step toward a long-term goal. Whatever it is, give thanks for it. Because gratitude isn't just about saying thank you. It's about recognizing the value in what you've already achieved. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're trying to build a habit of waking up early. The first week, you set your alarm for 6:00 a.m. and manage to get up 3 out of 7 days. Instead of beating yourself up for the 4 days you hit snooze, what if you celebrated the 3 days you succeeded? What if you thanked God for the strength to get up, the energy to start your day, and the progress you've made? How would that shift your mindset? How would that fuel your motivation to keep going? Gratitude turns setbacks into stepping stones and failures into opportunities for growth. It reminds you that every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory worth celebrating. Now, let's talk about how gratitude fuels self-discipline. When you're grateful, you're less likely to compare yourself to others. You're less likely to feel discouraged by the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And you're more likely to stay focused on your own journey, your own progress, and your own goals. Gratitude keeps you grounded in the present moment, reminding you that the journey is just as important as the destination. And when you're grounded in the present, you're more likely to make disciplined choices that align with your long-term goals. Let me ask you this. What's one thing you can be grateful for today? What's one area of your life where you've made progress, no matter how small? Maybe it's a habit you've started, a relationship you've nurtured, or a goal you've pursued. Whatever it is, take a moment to give thanks for it. Because gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a practice. And when you practice gratitude, you cultivate a mindset of contentment, resilience, and discipline. Here's the bottom line: gratitude and self-discipline are deeply connected. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's already been given. It fuels your motivation to keep going, even when the journey gets tough. And it reminds you that progress, not perfection, is the key to success. So, if you want to cultivate self-discipline, start with gratitude. Give thanks in all circumstances. Celebrate the small wins, and let gratitude be the foundation of your journey towards success. Let me leave you with this: the call to self-discipline isn't just a call to work harder. It's a call to live with gratitude. It's a call to recognize the value in what you've already achieved, to celebrate the progress you've made, and to trust that every step forward, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. So start today. Take a moment to give thanks, reflect on your progress, and let gratitude fuel your journey towards self-discipline, success, and fulfillment. The path to self-discipline begins with a grateful heart, and it starts today. Secret 90. Visualize your success. What if I told you that the most powerful tool for achieving your goals isn't found in endless to-do lists or grueling routines, but in something as simple as your imagination? What if I told you that the key to unlocking your full potential lies in your ability to see your success before it even happens? Sounds like magic, doesn't it? But here's the truth: visualization isn't just a daydream. It's a proven strategy that has been used by athletes, entrepreneurs, and even biblical figures to turn their visions into reality. And if you want to master self-discipline and achieve your goals, you need to start by visualizing your success. Let's dive into Habakkuk 2:2, where God instructs the prophet, "Write the vision and make it plain." This isn't just a suggestion, it's a command. Why? Because when you write down your vision, when you see it clearly in your mind, it becomes more than just a dream. It becomes a roadmap. It becomes a target. It becomes a reality waiting to happen. But here's the question: what does success look like to you? And how can you see it clearly every day? If you can't answer that, how will you ever achieve it? Visualization is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's the tool that turns your dreams into plans and your plans into action. Think about it. How often do you find yourself stuck in a cycle of doubt and uncertainty? You set a goal, but you can't quite see yourself achieving it. You know what you want, but it feels so far away, so out of reach. But here's the truth: visualization is the antidote to this cycle. It's the reminder that your goals are not only possible but inevitable if you can see them clearly. It's the fuel that keeps you going when the journey gets tough. And it's the foundation of true self-discipline. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you took a moment to close your eyes and vividly imagine your success? When was the last time you saw yourself achieving your goals, not as a distant possibility, but as a present reality? If you're like most people, the answer is probably never. But here's the challenge: you start today. Take a moment to visualize your success. See it in your mind's eye. Feel it in your heart, and let that vision guide your actions. Because visualization isn't just about dreaming. It's about believing. And when you believe in your success, you're more likely to take the disciplined steps needed to achieve it. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're training for a marathon. The first week, you can barely run a mile without feeling exhausted. Instead of focusing on how far you have to go, what if you visualized yourself crossing the finish line? What if you saw yourself strong, confident, and victorious? How would that shift your mindset? How would that fuel your motivation to keep going? Visualization turns obstacles into opportunities and challenges into stepping stones. It reminds you that every step forward, no matter how small, is a step toward your ultimate goal. Now, let's talk about how visualization fuels self-discipline. When you can see your success clearly, you're less likely to get distracted by setbacks or discouraged by failures. You're more likely to stay focused on your vision, your progress, and your goals. Visualization keeps you grounded in the future, reminding you that the journey is just as important as the destination. And when you're grounded in the future, you're more likely to make disciplined choices that align with your long-term goals. Let me ask you this. What's one goal you've been struggling to achieve? What's one area of your life where you feel stuck or uncertain? Whatever it is, take a moment to visualize your success. See it clearly in your mind. Feel it in your heart, and let that vision guide your actions. Because visualization isn't just a feeling, it's a practice. And when you practice visualization, you cultivate a mindset of confidence, resilience, and discipline. Here's the bottom line: visualization and self-discipline are deeply connected. Visualization shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's possible. It fuels your motivation to keep going, even when the journey gets tough. And it reminds you that progress, not perfection, is the key to success. So, if you want to cultivate self-discipline, start with visualization. Write the vision and make it plain. See your success clearly, and let that vision be the foundation of your journey towards success. Let me leave you with this: the call to self-discipline isn't just a call to work harder. It's a call to dream bigger. It's a call to see your success before it happens, to believe in your vision, and to trust that every step forward, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. So, start today. Take a moment to visualize your success. Write down your vision, and let that vision fuel your journey towards self-discipline, success, and fulfillment. The path to self-discipline begins with a clear vision, and it starts today. Secret $100 Never give up. What if I told you that the most powerful weapon you have against failure isn't talent, intelligence, or even hard work? It's your refusal to give up. What if I told you that the difference between those who succeed and those who fail isn't luck or circumstance, but sheer perseverance? Sounds simple, doesn't it? But here's the truth: never giving up is the ultimate act of self-discipline. It's the decision to keep going when everything in you wants to quit. It's the choice to rise after every fall, to push through every obstacle, and to believe in your vision, even when the world tells you it's impossible. And if you want to achieve greatness, you must embrace this secret: never give up. Let's start with Galatians 6:7-9, where the Apostle Paul writes, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." This isn't just a comforting verse. It's a promise. It's a reminder that your efforts, your sacrifices, and your perseverance will not go unnoticed. But here's the question: are you willing to trust that promise? Are you willing to keep going, even when the harvest seems far away? Because the truth is, success isn't about how fast you run. It's about how long you can endure. It's about staying in the race, even when your legs are tired and your heart is heavy. Think about it. How often do you find yourself on the verge of giving up? You've worked hard. You've given it your all, but the results aren't coming. The obstacles keep piling up, and the road ahead seems endless. But here's the truth: every great achievement in history was born out of perseverance. Every success story is a story of someone who refused to quit. And if you want to write your own success story, you must do the same. You must decide, right here and right now, that giving up is not an option. Let me ask you this: what will you do when the journey gets tough? Will you throw in the towel? Or will you dig deep and find the strength to keep going? Because the truth is, the journey will get tough. There will be moments when you feel like you're fighting a losing battle. There will be days when the weight of your goals feels unbearable. But here's the challenge: those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. And if you can push through those moments, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and closer to your goals than ever before. Let me give you an example from the Bible. Think about Joseph. Sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. Joseph had every reason to give up. But he didn't. He kept trusting God, kept working hard, and kept believing in his dreams. And in the end, he became the second most powerful man in Egypt. His story is a testament to the power of perseverance. It's a reminder that no matter how dark the night, the dawn will come, if you don't give up. Now, let's talk about how perseverance fuels self-discipline. When you commit to never giving up, you're not just making a decision. You're building a mindset. You're training yourself to see obstacles as opportunities, failures as lessons, and setbacks as stepping stones. Perseverance teaches you to focus on the long term, to keep your eyes on the prize, and to stay disciplined even when the path is unclear. It's the foundation of true self-discipline, because it reminds you that every step forward, no matter how small, is a step toward your ultimate goal. Let me ask you this. What's one goal you've been struggling to achieve? What's one area of your life where you feel like giving up? Whatever it is, take a moment to remind yourself why you started. Remind yourself of the vision, the dream, the purpose that drives you. And then, make a decision you will not give up. You will keep going, no matter what, because the truth is, the only way to fail is to quit. And if you refuse to quit, you cannot fail. Here's the bottom line. Never giving up is the ultimate act of self-discipline. It's the decision to keep going when everything in you wants to quit. It's the choice to rise after every fall, to push through every obstacle, and to believe in your vision even when the world tells you it's impossible. So, if you want to cultivate self-discipline, start with perseverance. Commit to never giving up. Trust the process, trust the promise, and trust that your harvest is coming. Let me leave you with this. The call to self-discipline isn't just a call to work harder. It's a call to endure longer. It's a call to keep going, even when the journey gets tough. It's a call to believe in your vision, to trust in your purpose, and to refuse to give up no matter what. So, start today. Make the decision to never give up, and let that decision be the foundation of your journey toward self-discipline, success, and fulfillment. The path to self-discipline begins with perseverance, and it starts today.